สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
Mr. Randy, thank you very much for joining us. You're here in Bangkok to collaborate with DASTA, Designated Areas for Sustainable Tourism Administration. Tell us a bit about the partnership.
Well, we've been working with DASTA for a few years on a number of levels. We've done some assessments of some of the destinations that they're working at in terms of the sustainability policies and practices. Really, kind of the most important element of the relationship right now is that we've taken our class, our training program, Sustainable Tourism Training Program, which we have on a global basis, and DASTA has become our partner for Thailand, where they've translated our curriculum into the Thai language. We've worked together to select a team of Thai trainers and conducted training of those trainers, and now they're ready to go forth and teach stakeholders throughout Thailand on the broad range of concepts of sustainable tourism. We're very excited about that. So we have a number of other things going on, but those are a couple of the bigger pieces.
And Thailand actually has its own, what do I say, these standards.
Standards, yes.
Which is actually recognized by your council.
Yes.
What are these standards, by the way?
Yeah, so there are two sets of standards. There's CBT, Community-Based Tourism Standards, that DASTA owns, and Sustainable Tourism Management Standards. And in both cases, in the past year, we've gone through the process where our technical people have put a formal stamp to ensure and share with the world that both of those sets of standards, they're Thai standards, but they include our baseline global standards. And so that's very important because then these standards, which again have national context, also adhere to these universal principles. So this is what we call GSTC recognition, to put a formal mark on a set of standards, the words in a document to show that they include these universal principles.
So today we saw a number of areas across the country receiving a certificate that's called CBT integrated. How will this help the communities in actually achieving sustainable tourism development?
Well, by having these leaders from those communities have this certificate, I should say have this training and this awareness, that makes them better leaders at making tourism truly community-based, because that process includes training on how to have public participation throughout the process, how to manage sustainably, how to engage all the various stakeholders. Too often tourism is just a few stakeholders that are making most of the decisions. And inherent in our process and our standards includes public participation, includes a broad set of stakeholders having a voice in development. Because tourism should be for the community, the full community, not just a few people who may own a few elements of, a few of the businesses or whatever. That creates a platform where you can have successful tourism in the long term.
Now, apart from working with communities, with business operators, travelers, how are you working on actually changing the mindset, the perception of travelers to be responsible while traveling? Is that a difficult task?
Oh, it's a very difficult task, and that would require far more reach and money than we have to create that kind of awareness campaign. But, it is a real issue right now because globally we're seeing an amazing surge in demand, led by the Chinese outbound traveler, but many more. I mean, Indonesia, India, many Asian economies, middle class has been growing. Thai middle class is traveling internationally more today than it ever did. So it's a global phenomenon, it's an Asian phenomenon. So yes, we have a lot of demand, and that means that we have so many new travelers today that aren't experienced travelers. And so all of that will get better over time. As those travelers visit many different places, they'll get better at traveling. But it is clearly a challenge for us today, is that when you have so many hundreds of millions of first-time travelers that have never stepped out of the context of their own community, their own culture, and now they're traveling internationally, of course that creates some problems. But there's no easy solutions to that. That really requires a lot of awareness campaigning from the home country on helping people understand and giving them some guidance on how to, if not behave in each given place they visit, at least try to be a little bit more respectful and quiet.
And quiet,
when in doubt.
But then again, there's another group of travelers who are very green conscious these days. are these groups supporting companies that embody these values, in return creating more business opportunities for companies that are actually going through sustainable tourism development?
Yeah, well, the market research shows that in all source markets everywhere in the world, the traveler is increasingly concerned on green and social justice issues and sustainable and responsible travel issues. So that's the good news. There's an increase in awareness. However, I think we have to admit to ourselves that it's still a soft demand that for sustainable travel, that most of us still, when we book a trip, we're really looking for low price, what's the destination that seems appropriate for me. We're not seeking out. Some people are. That's starting to rise a little bit. But what we are seeing in very large measure is that once somebody's booked and once they get to a place, they are more and more expecting that the place and the business, the destination and the businesses are being managed sustainably. And when they see something they don't like, they're becoming more and more vocal. So we're weak on the front end at the point of purchase, but we're getting, but it's growing, but it's strong in the back end of once I get to a place. Why are you using all this plastic? Or why, what are you doing about this, and social justice issues and so forth. So the awareness is all going up, but that's sort of a slow build also.
For travelers who have this green conscience, what's the way to actually find that if a destination or if a hotel is really going through sustainable practices? Is there an indicator?
It's not easy. I mean, they really have to do some research and ask questions. Our organization, one of our missions is that through our process of accrediting certification bodies, we're just now beginning to build a framework of recognition, not with any goal anytime soon to reach the consumer on eco-labeling, but to label supply chain development so that a tour operator that selects more hotels that are certified as sustainable, they can put that into their marketing message that, we've got a greener supply chain. So that's in its infancy. I mean, that's just in recent years we've been building that up. But now we're starting to get that come to scale in the world. As we do that, we're going to start creating indexing where the consumer, the traveler can find that sort of information. But we're kind of starting with more of a B2B approach of trying to get indexes for businesses. There's some very progressive companies in the world that are looking for that. So that's relatively new. And so now we need to get that word out that businesses now have the ability to find those suppliers, whether it's a hotel, a transport provider, different components that go into travel packages. That's rather new and growing.
To date, how many hotels have received the GSTC standards?
It's just a few thousand in the world, so it's a relatively small number. But because we only launched accreditation in the last couple of years. So there's many fine certification programs in the world that have certified hotels that's not formally, in that, but a number of prominent international certification bodies are in the process of getting accredited by us. So we'll see those numbers increase, and we'll start seeing bigger and better directories of hotels that are certified.
All right, Mr. Randy, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
สวัสดีค่ะ
You're very welcome.